So much new information has come out. Before we get into today's video, I just want to let you guys know that this video is for educational purposes only. Please remember to be kind to everybody everywhere in your everyday life, in your home, in the grocery store, and especially in the comment section down below. Please do not show hate to anybody, anywhere. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How is everybody doing today? I hope you all are having an amazing day. I hope you all have had a wonderful week. I hope everybody is feeling good. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the new Gabby Petito Netflix documentary that just came out. And you guys, for those of y'all that have been with me for years over here, you know that we followed this case closely. We were all looking for her, looking for clues, following the family, watching the press conferences, watching the Laundrie's house. I mean, there's not much that I thought could have been left out, but there was still a lot that I just learned from watching this new Netflix documentary. And we're going to talk about it today. Before we get into it, though, I did want to let you guys know, if you don't already know, hi, my name is Christina. I do have a second channel, which is Casually Christina. We just do things way more casually over there. I also have a Patreon. My Patreon's for 18 and up. And over there, we talk about more personal stuff. We go live over there. There's a $2 tier for all the true crime stuff that cannot go onto YouTube due to their terms and policies. That goes over on my Patreon under the $2 tier. Just make sure you read the full about section, what each tier offers before you join. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and Snapchat. And I'm also on Like to Know It. And Like to Know It is a platform where you can find links to a lot of the things that I like and use and that y'all ask about, like this top, these earrings, makeup items, clothing items, workout gear. I mean, just about anything you can think of. Cooking utensils, furniture. I post those links over on my Like to Know It. And all of those platforms are linked down in the description box if you would like to come and check me out. So again, all right, Netflix put out this new documentary on the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie case. The interesting thing about this one, though, and one of the reasons why I really felt compelled to watch it, is because Gabby's parents, her family, are actually in it. And so it's interesting because we get to hear their side of the story and their point of view on the things that happen. There's also, again, quite a bit of information in this documentary that I had never heard before. And so we're going to talk about that today. So let's start with the first episode. There's 3 episodes, which in my personal opinion is the perfect amount of episodes for any series or documentaries. Keeps your attention. They did a great job in this one. So in the first episode, they talk a lot about Gabby's background and basically like what she was like growing up. There's all kinds of little cute photos of her when she was a baby, and her mother, Nicole, talked about how she actually had Gabby when she was just 20 years old and that she was a total cutie and she was a handful. She said that her and Joe, Gabby's father, split not long after having Gabby. I think she said they were together 6 months before they went their separate ways. However, their split was very amicable and they had decided from the very beginning that they were going to put Gabby first and they were going to work together for Gabby. Now, Gabby's friends and family said that her and Brian, and I did not know this before, they actually met in high school. And the documentary shows photos of them together when they're much younger. And they met when they were in high school when they were both living in Long Island, New York. After they graduated from high school and they started dating, they quickly fell in love with each other. Then Gabby decided to move to Florida with Brian and move in with his family. And I'm going to throw this in here right now and let y'all know everything in this video is alleged. I don't know any of these people. I am filtering my words, my opinions, and my perception of this documentary from very, very public sources that's already out there, including Netflix. Go do your own research and form your own opinions. But it is said to be believed that Roberta, Brian's mom, was jealous of Gabby. Now, Roberta and Christopher, Brian's parents, they had him later on in life. He is actually 10 years younger than his older sister, Cassie. And I don't know if y'all remember Cassie. This is her right here. She's the one that kind of spoke to the media when everything was going haywire years ago. Now, Nicole, Gabby's mom, remembered a time that she actually received a note stating that Gabby had changed her address back to her family home in Long Island. Her mom, knowing that her daughter is living in Florida with Brian and his parents, she was confused. Like, are you moving back home? So she called Gabby and she asked her. Gabby said that she didn't do it and she didn't know how it happened, but that she thought maybe Roberta, Brian's mom, had done that without Gabby knowing, seemingly because she did not want Gabby living there. Now, one of Gabby's first friends that she made in Florida said that when they would all three hang out, Brian was almost like a parent watching a little child play on a play date. She said that he was really nice, but he was socially awkward, and it seemed like he had a very dark side. The documentary showed some of his drawings, and especially knowing what we know now, to know that he spent so much of his free time, just like drawing these deeply sad and dark images, it just kind of makes you wonder, But overall, everyone said that Brian and Gabby seemed happy together, at least at first or on the surface level. Now, when Gabby was alone with her friend, the friend said that Brian seemed very manipulative. She talked about how one time that they were supposed to go out together, and we heard about this years ago, but she confirmed it in the documentary, but said that like when Gabby was on her way to meet her friend so they could go out, Gabby realized that she didn't have her wallet in her purse, and since she didn't have her wallet, she didn't have her ID to get into anywhere, and she said that Brian took the wallet out of her purse to stop her from going. She had to drive like an hour back home just to even try to get her wallet. But according to this friend, Brian would always apologize, but he would like overly apologize, if that makes sense. Almost like he was love-bombing her. Then one time when they went on a camping trip, Brian just proposed to Gabby. Now, he did not have a ring, and we've all seen this photo right here of their engagement, but we did not know the backstory on it. So when you see this photo here of their like engagement announcement, you think, oh my gosh, you're engaged. And mind you, you don't have to have a ring. You don't have to have anything fancy to get engaged or to be in love. But looking back, right, hindsight is always 20/20. In this situation, looking back, seeing this photo and knowing that they were actually camping, there was no ring, but it was said that Brian saw a firefly land on Gabby's ring finger, and that's how he knew that they were meant to be together. Now, Nicole, Gabby's mom, said that she found out about their engagement from a Facebook post by Brian's mom, which I cannot imagine how hard that was on her because Nicole was very close with her daughter. But yet the mother that's allegedly jealous, doing this change of address, she's the one to announce it on Facebook. And Brian never asked Gabby's father for permission, which they felt like that was important. Almost, like, in my opinion, maybe it was a last-minute decision, something that he actually hadn't planned out. Maybe it was part of an apology or some sort of way that he was making it up to her after they had an argument. Nicole said that Gabby was very excited about it at first, but she definitely started to lose excitement. Now, another part of this documentary that I found very interesting was that they actually used AI to read out Gabby's journal entries in text. So they were actually read in her voice. She journaled a lot about her day-to-day life, and she journaled about her relationship with Brian. She also talked about a van that Brian was remodeling so they could do this like whole van life traveling all around the country thing together. Gabby wanted to start a YouTube channel so she could do her vlogs while she travels, which according to Gabby's friend, Brian thought vlogging for YouTube was absolutely ridiculous. The documentary showed a lot of Gabby's like raw vlog footage in it that you could kind of tell Brian was only putting on a smiling face to just, for the moment. Now, to me, it definitely didn't seem genuine. However, I do have to say that for people that don't like being on camera or they're nervous in front of the camera, that can come off in many different ways. But again, in this situation, hindsight, all these little things you start wondering, were they pieces? Were they little things that people could have seen, or she could have seen, or anybody could have seen? I don't know. I mean, you could even see the tension between them in some of the footage. It was a bit awkward and heartbreaking, honestly. I mean, when I was watching this with my husband was watching Gabby in some of these videos, and he was like, she's so fragile. He was like, this is sad. This is like, she's like a little sweet kitten. And I absolutely agreed with him. Like, I thought she was like a little, like a bird, or like, she just had a personality of just sweet and innocent. And she was so driven, and she really wanted to make something of her YouTube channel, but it seemed like she was definitely alone in that. Now, her friend in this documentary said that Gabby actually worked at Taco Bell at the time, and she would literally put in 50 hours a week so she could save money for this van and their travels. But according to this friend, Brian did not like that Gabby was working so much, and that she was like hanging out with her friends or even talking to her mother sometimes. Brian even called Nicole, Gabby's mom, to tell her about how much Gabby was working and how much she was hanging out with friends. Now, in my opinion, Gabby was gaining her independence, and it did not seem like Brian liked that. Then they ended up leaving in their van to go travel. Now, at the beginning of their trip, Nicole said that they stopped by, and when they were leaving, Gabby gave her the tightest hug. Nicole said that she told Brian to take care of her and to keep her safe, and Brian said that he would. Now, as we know, that did not happen. As her parents, as a parent of a 24-year-old as well as a 13-year-old, I feel like seeing your child chase their dreams in their full capacity, especially at Gabby's age. She's young. She didn't have children. She worked her butt off working at Taco Bell in order to save the money for the van. They worked on the van. She wanted to do this vlog thing. And mind you, at that time, the van life vlogging was all the hype. I mean, it was extremely viral. She had the personality. She probably would have done very well. But as a parent, I could just imagine, of course, her mother and her father and her stepfather and her stepmother wanting her to be safe, but also happy for her. I mean, what a dream, right? However, after 41 days on this road trip, that's when Gabby took pictures of her face that we all saw in real time. Now, this one right here where it seemed like she had been hit, this is when the Moab incident happened. Someone called 911 to report that they had seen Brian striking Gabby, and then the cops pulled them over. We all saw this on body cam footage back then when this happened, but there are a couple parts that I wanted to show y'all again, and you can tell that the cops were very conflicted because Gabby herself was even saying that she was the primary aggressor, but they knew that she wasn't really a physical threat to Brian.
And I was just saying, I'm sorry if I'm in a bad mood. I've just been really stressed. I had so much work I was doing on my computer this morning.
That's cool.
And I just quit my job to travel across the country. And I'm trying to start a blog. I just have a blog and stuff. So I've been building my website. So I've just been really stressed. And he doesn't really believe that I could do any of it. So that's kind of been like a, I don't know, he's like down there. I don't know, we've just been fighting all morning, and he wouldn't let me in the car before. And then
Why wouldn't he let you in the car? Because of your OCD?
He told me I need to calm down. Yeah. But I'm perfectly calm. I'm calm all the time, and he really stresses me out, and this is a rough morning.
So I was saying, let's just go for a walk, and she was trying to get the keys for me, so I was just going, just wait, back up, and that's when she hit me, and I didn't get, I don't want to push you, but I didn't get overtly physical. I was just trying to keep her away and not get hit, and then I got really loud, and like that's probably drew everyone's attention where I was going, back up, get away, just give me a...
Okay, so you said you pushed her to create some distance, obviously, right? What happened after that? What got the scratches on your eye?
The phone.
The phone? So you pushed her and she hit you?
It wasn't like a push and she jumped on me. She was already, I don't want to, she was already swinging and I was
multiple.
Yeah. A lot of angles, a lot of nails, a lot of rings.
Yeah. You got 3 scratches on your neck. You got 1 on the left side of your nose. You got 1 in your face here, and you got 4 bleeding over.
Let's try it out.
Looks like 2 hands.
How you answer this question is going to determine what happens next. But the only person who can answer this question is you. Think very hard before you answer the question. Do not quickly answer. Think very hard. When you slapped him those times, were you attempting to cause him physical pain or physical impairment? Was that what you were attempting to do to him?
No.
What were you attempting to do? What was the reason behind the slapping and stuff? What was it you were attempting to accomplish by slapping?
I was trying to get him to stop telling me something.
Well, it doesn't sound to me like she attempted to injure him. It's your call. This is 100% your call. I support you either way. So you can go. This now. I'm recording, and society and the judges and everyone can judge me for this. I am looking at a 110-pound female and her fiancé who have no means to be separated. He doesn't want to pursue it. She's not a threat to him, more than slight abrasions from her fingernails. I don't care if we use the actual letter of the law to not charge, but I also don't care because it literally does possibly make perfect sense to go full-on domestic assault and do the whole thing. This is your opportunity to make the decision.
It was so, y'all, hard to watch that back again all these years later. Watching it back, listening to the cops, trying to figure out what to do, wanting to make the right decision for everybody. Gabby's telling them one thing. And something that I thought was very interesting is when the police first walk up to the passenger side after Gabby's already out and Brian leans over to talk to the cops, the first thing he says to them is, "Did you talk to Gabby?"
But Gabrielle, you talked to my fiance, right?
What's that?
You talked to Gabrielle, right?
Yeah, I just spoke to her.
Yeah.
So
And when I see that, I instantly think, before she got out of the car, he was having a conversation with her. You better tell them this. You better say this, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen. And that's why the first thing he said was, "Did you talk to Gabby?" And it's so hard to watch back. Nicole said that Gabby had told her that they had an argument and that Brian actually locked her out of the van. She said that Gabby just brushed it off as a stupid argument, but as you know, the cops took Brian to a hotel and Gabby was supposed to stay in the van for a night so they could be separated and they could both cool off. Now, Nicole was a bit shocked that Gabby had to be in her van by herself while Brian was put up in a hotel. She tried to convince Gabby to come home, but Gabby said that everything would be fine and that they were going to go and finish the trip. Despite what the officers told them to do, though, Gabby and Brian did end up getting back together that night versus like spending the night away, taking showers, cooling off. They met back up. Then they ended up traveling from Moab to Salt Lake City. 10 days later, on August 22nd, Gabby texted her ex, and this ex was actually in the documentary, and he told his side. Gabby dated this ex for a year before her and Brian got together, and he said that Gabby was definitely the love of his life. It was just the wrong time for them. He said that they got on the phone with each other, and Gabby actually started to vent about her relationship with Brian. She told him that she wanted to get away from Brian, but she did not know how. She told him that she was afraid of how he might react, and she said that she did not know what Brian was truly capable of. Her ex now says that he definitely feels like this was a cry of help from Gabby. This is around the same time where we see Gabby and Brian at Whole Foods. And this was the last known footage of Gabby. This is the day that all the experts believe that she passed away. Now, Nicole, her mother, continued to check on Gabby after the Moab incident. Gabby texted her mom saying that Brian was camping out in the woods and that he was willing to let Gabby pay him for the van. When Nicole asked if that meant that her and Brian were actually going to be breaking up, Gabby said no, she could just make more money as a solo female van lifer. Now, when I saw that, I don't even really think it was about the money because she wasn't making any money yet. I think it was the fact, this is just my personal opinion, I think he was bringing her down. I think you know, we've all been in a situation. Y'all know when you're around a person that's just everything you do is wrong, is not good enough, it's stupid ideas. He was bringing her down. She had this dream. She had worked hard for it, and she wanted to make it come to life. Now, a woman named Norma was shown in the documentary, and she said that on August 29th, she actually picked Brian up off the side of the road, y'all, and this is so wild to me. Brian was out hitchhiking, okay? She said that he seemed totally normal when she picked him up. Little did she know she was actually picking up a killer, okay? A young, weaselly looking, spineless killer, okay? In the car, while they were driving, he hops into the vehicle with her. She had a Bible that was on the dashboard. When she was driving, the Bible slid across the dashboard onto Brian's lap when she made a turn. She said that he gently picked up the Bible, looked at it, and set it back on top of the dashboard. Now, I wonder what he was thinking in that moment, because if the timing adds up, this could have been right after he did what he did to Gabby. He went somewhere and hitchhiked in order to have this alibi, because I truly believe that Brian thought he was going to get away with this at first, but we're going to keep going here. But how weird is that? He was hitchhiking. Maybe right after he did this to her. This innocent woman that's on her way to a church service picks him up, and the Bible slides off the dashboard into his lap. She said that when they got to the front gate where Brian and Gabby's van was parked, Brian was ready immediately to get out of the car, and she said that she offered to take him further in, but Brian insisted that no, you just stop right here. Then on August 30th is when Nicole got that text message about helping Stan. Y'all remember Stan is the name of Gabby's grandfather, and it really stuck out to her that it said Stan and not Grandpa. She just chucked it up and assumed that maybe Gabby was driving, and so Brian was the one texting for her. But as the days went by, Nicole could not get a hold of Gabby on the phone, so she kept texting her. However, she wasn't getting any texts back, which was totally not like Gabby. And there was also no new post on her Instagram or social medias, so her mother began to get nervous. On September 9th, 10 days since her last contact with her daughter Gabby, Nicole ended up texting Joe, Gabby's biological father. Now, he too had not heard anything from her. Nicole even went as far as to call Gabby's ex to see if he had heard from her. But Gabby didn't even call her friend on her birthday, so by this point, everyone was really worrying. They thought that maybe both Gabby and Brian were missing. Maybe they got lost, maybe they got hurt, maybe the two of them threw their phones into the ocean and said, we're going to just disconnect from all social media, run away and explore nature together. I mean, no one really knew where they were at this point. However, on the next day, September 10th, Nicole tried texting Roberta, Brian's mother. When she did, she got no response. So she texted again, saying, I hope I have the right number, and the text went green, like she had been blocked. So Joe, Gabby's father, reached out as well, and he never heard back. Now, at this point, you guys got to think, nobody's hearing from them, and now nobody's hearing from the parents. At this point, I've went from concerned, worried, to ticked. Okay, something's going on at this point. Now, still, after not hearing back, this is when Joe texted again saying, we're going to call the police. Still no response. So this is when Nicole made her first post on social media about trying to find Gabby. Nicole did end up calling 911. On September 11th, officers went to Brian's parents' home. The body cam footage came out a while ago, but here it is again, just in case you haven't seen it. All Brian's parents were willing to say was that Brian was indeed home with them, that they did not know where Gabby was, and that they could reach out to their attorney for more questions.
Northport Police Department. How you doing, sir? I apologize for bothering you. I have the detective on the phone.
I'm not talking to anybody.
You don't want to talk to us? Okay, she's on the phone. You don't want to talk to her now? Okay, when was the last time that you saw Brian and Gabriel?
Well, Brian is here.
Brian is here?
Yeah, and that's all I'm going to say.
And that's all that you're saying?
Yeah, we have an attorney. They've been calling, I don't know. That's all I want to say. I don't know why some of the attorneys are aware
okay.
they're calling, so Well, I can give you his number.
Whose number? The attorney's number?
Yeah.
Okay, I would like that, please, so I can give it to the detective. Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And just to let the detective know, is Gabriel here? Or?
No.
She's not here. Okay.
The fellow was here last night.
Yeah. Okay. So is this her vehicle? Her van?
It's both of them.
Is both of them? Okay.
Bye.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Police Department. Is it Chris? Chris, this is Sergeant Selzer with the Police Department.
Yeah.
Hey, look, I hate to bother you. I know you've already said you don't want to speak or don't want to help us. I'm trying to figure out something for parents. You guys as parents, all they want is their daughter to know that she's safe. So I don't know where it all started before. I don't know what's transpired. I don't know anything about that. I'm here to know if you guys know anything. It would let the parents at ease and go from there.
Well, we don't know anything.
Okay.
That's all.
I mean, anything that you guys would be able to give them is any type of help. Last time your son saw her, anything like that.
No,
Am I able to talk to your son? The other officer said,
he's not going to talk to me.
Okay.
We're not going to talk to anybody.
okay. I mean, I'm gonna lay it out for you if you want. The New York detectives are a little pissed, and they want me to do a whole bunch of things that I'm trying to
Well,
avoid.
then you have to do what you got to do, and we're not going to. That's that.
Okay. I mean, as a parent, you wouldn't want to know where it happened with
I
yours.
understand what you're saying, but thank you.
I mean,
No, we're not going to.
it makes it very odd, don't you think? From my point of view,
Well,
Chris.
goodbye. For now, you couldn't call our attorney and give your phone number.
I don't have your attorney, and an attorney's not going to answer at 10,
Well,
11 o'clock at
no,
night.
I'm not speaking to anybody.
Yeah, we're not comfortable
Without
talking
an
to anybody.
attorney. So that's that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the van is only registered to her. Okay?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm not really sure.
Well, I'm going to tell you. I'm telling you. The
Okay.
title on the state of Florida is it's only hers.
Okay.
So it's not supposed to be here.
Okay,
So I'm going to take a tow truck and get it. Is a car in the way?
it's my car. I can move it.
I mean, so you don't have any issue with us taking the van?
If that's what you're saying, you got to do. You got to do.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm not speaking to anybody.
Yeah, without our attorney. But
Okay.
I can move the car for you.
You don't find that odd that you guys
Good
really?
night. Good night.
Okay.
Don't knock on my door anymore.
Okay. Are you going to move the car?
I'll move it.
Okay.
And y'all, this was one of the hardest parts to watch the family talk about. Back in Long Island, the detectives told Gabby's parents that Brian was home. He was with the van. Okay, imagine hearing this. You haven't heard from your daughter. The boyfriend's home. He's got the van with him. He's lawyered up, and Gabby is nowhere to be found. At this point, this is when they had a gut feeling that something absolutely terrible happened. And also, this is when the nationwide search began, the media frenzy and all. And Nicole said that the first time that she saw the body cam footage from the traffic stop was when it was on the news. And gut-wrenching for her to see that. She said that Gabby looked frightened and things seemed worse than she ever could have imagined. They absolutely had no idea that any of this happened, and everyone said that they had never seen Gabby that upset before. All they knew was that Gabby had told them that her and Brian had just gotten to a silly little argument about him locking her out of the van. The FBI said on September 17th that they got a tip from a caller that something was going on inside Brian Laundrie's house. The caller said that they believed that Brian may have OD'd or like he was deceased or something. So the officers went back out to the house. That's when Brian's parents told them that Brian actually wasn't there anymore. They wanted to report Brian missing because they had not seen him in days. Now, as I'm sure y'all can all remember, everyone was completely outraged. I know I was. I did a few videos. A lot of us that were following this was in a complete tizzy. Because mind you, they had the police up and down that street. They went and put on the neighbors' houses cameras to watch the house. What do you mean Brian's gone? What do you mean he's been gone for days? This is when all the rumors that Brian was in Mexico, and you had people making TikTok accounts that says, I'm not Brian Laundrie, because people were looking for him everywhere. And how could he get past the police sitting out there with their binoculars and all the cameras? No one knew where he was at this point. The people in this documentary said that the reason why he got by was because there were so many protesters and reporters that it made it hard for them to keep up with who all was who and who was coming and going. Now, I'm watching the documentary and I remember specifically that time frame, okay? Yes, in the beginning, there were people everywhere, okay? But at this point in time, there was not that many people that were out there anymore. I mean, there had been all kind of tape that had been put up. Again, the police was sitting out there. And I don't know if y'all remember, but in a press conference when it was addressed, because the public was outraged, it finally came out that the excuse was that the police saw Brian leaving and thought it was the mother. Y'all remember that? I got videos about it. We were comparing the photos, like how in the world, it just, none of it made any sense. But in the documentary, they said it was because of the protesters. Nevertheless, he slipped by them. And because now Brian was officially reported as a missing person, the investigators went in and they searched the house. This is when they found Roberta's letter that said, burn after reading. Y'all remember that? But they still had not found Gabby's body yet, so they didn't know where Gabby was, and they ended up asking for the public's help in locating Gabby. This is when the vloggers that accidentally caught Gabby and Brian's van in their video called in to give the investigators that footage. If y'all remember, their YouTube channel was Red, White, and Buffoon. Now, this footage, as you may remember, became like critical evidence in the investigation and in the ability to find Gabby. Then, as we all know, they ended up finding her, which if that video had not come up from that YouTube channel, I really think Brian thought he was going to get away with this. I really, truly, in my heart, believe so. He thought he was going to get away with it. The lawyers were going to have to prove whatever. She was wherever. And he didn't think, can you imagine? That place is so remote out there where they were. There just happened to be another set of YouTubers that were filming the drive and saw the van over there, or they would not have known. I mean, it's absolutely a miracle. When they found her, she was laying on her side, wrapped up in a sweater, in what investigators said was a very unnatural position. The investigators said that in front of her, this is where they found like a little burn mark, like someone had tried to light a fire, but they didn't see any fire starting materials. They also said that Gabby's boots were off, sitting next to her body, and also next to that burn mark. Investigators believe that this crime scene had been staged, and as many of you remember, the medical examiner ruled that Gabby's cause of death was due to blunt force trauma and manual strangulation. It was absolutely, you guys, heartbreaking watching Gabby's family talking about when they learned that Gabby's body was found. I mean, y'all need to watch this documentary for those of y'all that were invested in it. At the very least, even if you're watching this and you think you know all the information, for support for the family, because the way I look at it is this is their documentary. This is them telling their story. But when you get to this part, y'all, I'm talking about, whoa, emotional, okay? As y'all remember, and they talk about it in the documentary, her stepfather was actually there, boots on the ground. And when they had found a body, he was the one to go and identify her. And after he identified her, he had to make what he said is the worst phone call he has ever had to make, and I pray that he ever has to make. And he had to call Nicole, her mother, and her father, Joe, and her stepmother back in Long Island and tell them. Now, using all of Gabby's electronics, the investigators were able to determine that Brian must have taken her life around August 27th. They say that Gabby was moving some video files around on her computer at around 8:30 that evening, and that is the last indication of her being alive that they could find. They believe that Brian did what he did, then he moved her body to where it would later be found weeks later. The day after, investigators say that Brian traveled to the Coulter Bay area and took several photos, Many of them were photos of animal bones. His electronic devices show that the next day, on August 29th, he called his mother, Roberta, and he was on the phone with her for almost an hour. Then his father's cell phone data shows that after that phone call between Brian and Roberta, that's when he called his attorney. So he calls his mom, talks to her for an hour, dad calls the attorney. Brian's cell data also shows that as he was hiking around that day, he was sending texts to Gabby's phone. Again, in my opinion, trying to create an alibi. He thought he was going to get away with this. The investigators say that the texts were not read, obviously, on Gabby's phone until Brian got back to the van, where he then responded to himself from Gabby's phone. So he did what he did on this day, y'all. He continues to travel. He goes hiking. He's taking pictures of these animal bones, setting up an alibi. Alibis, in my opinion. Then he calls his mom, gets off the phone with her after an hour. Dad calls the attorney. He starts sending text messages back and forth. They say that it seemed that Brian was literally holding both phones, texting back and forth with himself. He even drove the van all the way back to Florida. And on the way is when they say that he sent that text from Gabby's phone to Nicole about Stan. Also, while he was on his way home, Brian used Gabby's debit card to pay for gas. He even transferred $700 to himself from Gabby's Zelle account. Yeah, this is what this guy was doing. In the little area where a message can be left with an indicator, it says, "Goodbye, Brian. I'll never ask you for anything again." So he sends himself the $700. Okay, we knew about that a while ago, but we didn't know about this other part. Sends himself the $700 while he's got both phones. It's done, left her up there, creating this alibi, okay? And then messages himself that too, "I'll never ask you for anything again." This was enough for an arrest warrant to be issued for Brian. 3 days before Brian's parents reported him missing on September 14th, this is when they learned that someone had left their car in the reserve for a substantial amount of time. It was that silver Mustang that I believe belongs to his mother. Now, while it was sitting there, it actually got ticketed, so Brian's parents were alerted about it. After Brian's parents were alerted, this is when they went to go and pick up the Mustang and they brought it home, which I find very interesting, but let's just keep going here. Then they told the law enforcement officers that that reserve was one of Brian's favorite places to go, and that he actually told them that he was going for a hike there to relieve some steam from the crowd that was outside of their house. They said that they believed that Brian was going to come home. He had a tent and he had food and etc., but it wasn't unusual for him to be gone for days in the woods. So they say that's why they didn't call the police when they picked up the Mustang. Then the investigators talked about the search in the reserve and talked about how it was not an easy search by no means. And if y'all remember, it was totally flooded. And of course, it had a lot of wildlife like alligators. After 37 days on October 20th, Brian's parents went out to look for him. Okay. Y'all remember this, y'all? We were in a tizzy. We were losing it because they had been searching all them days. And then after the area dried up, they opened up the reserve to the public. Brian's parents drive out there. In less than 15 minutes, they find his body. I mean, be so serious. One of the FBI investigators said that there was so much tension in the air that Brian and Roberta were completely emotionless. In the first 15 minutes, I guess they found the waterproof bag. And then 45 minutes later, a mile from where the Mustang was parked, Brian's remains were found. The FBI investigator said that he had completely decomposed all the way down to the bone. And if you remember, in that waterproof bag was the notebook that had the letters to Brian's family written inside of it. Then there was that confession of sorts, if you want to call it a confession. I remember this being one of the most striking parts of the case. Brian said that Gabby had gotten hurt. Y'all, when they said this in the documentary, I was fuming again, because in his confession, in his way to confess, even if he didn't try to set up an alibi and do all this other stuff, the fact that he fixed himself to sit down and write that Gabby had gotten hurt that night and he only ended her life because she asked him to take her out of her misery. It's incomprehensible to me. The fact that this man tried to make himself the hero even after everything. Oh, I only did it because she was begging for me to put her out of her misery. Lies. The FBI says that they still do not know the extent of Brian's parents' involvement with his crimes, but they said that they know that on August 29th, Brian and his parents made several calls back and forth to each other, like we had talked about earlier, and they said that they do believe that Brian told them that Gabby was gone and that he needed a lawyer. They immediately wired $25,000 to a lawyer, but they still claimed that they did not know what happened to Gabby. But 1 year later, after all of that, Gabby's whole family and some friends went to visit the area where Gabby was found. As a family, they all paid their tribute to her there, and they said that her presence and her spirit could be felt. They shared this photo right here of them all there that day, and they pointed out that there's a huge orb standing in front of everyone, and they believe that Gabby was still there with them. To this day, no charges have been filed against Brian's parents. And in 2022, Gabby's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against Brian's parents that ended in an undisclosed settlement in 2024. The Laundrie family declined to give a comment for this documentary, and the ending of this documentary just gave a beautiful tribute to Gabby, and it was almost like it was just closure to this whole situation that had happened. What do I think? I think y'all know what I think. I've talked about it this whole time. And something that is also interesting is Brian Laundrie's sister allegedly has made some posts on social media over the years. And allegedly, if this is her, I got to say that because I didn't see her type it out herself. Allegedly, she has not spoke to her parents in 2 years or has been no contact for a long time herself. And I do wonder what she thinks. I wonder what her side of the story is. Allegedly, she said something about like Brian, mental health issues and generational trauma. Listen, we all got mental health issues. Okay, we all got generational trauma. Well, most people do. Maybe there's a few of y'all out there that don't. You need to be studied, okay? Because we need to figure out how that happened. However, who don't? The things that he did and the cover up afterwards. Can you imagine him going home and her family desperately looking for her and being able to go to sleep at nighttime? I can't. And then to fix himself to write that confession where he said that he only ended her life in order to do her basically a favor because she was begging him. Disgusting. This family has been so admirable in a way that they should never have to be, right? This is not something that you strive for, obviously, as a person or as a family or as a parent. But the way that they handled this from the beginning, they stayed in the media, sharing and asking for help. They thanked social media. I believe they even went to CrimeCon one year. I saw on X that Gabby's father and stepmother even have like a Gabby memory case where little things that they took from Gabby's van or things that they have of hers, and they made like this little like memory case, and I thought that was so special and so beautiful.
We have here is all the stuff some stuff from Gabby's van. So we actually took her gas tank.
We crushed the van.
Yeah. So we took that off.
That's the gas tank.
That's the gas tank. So yeah, we crushed the van.
We didn't want the van to be out there, someone owning it.
Yeah.
And then here is the van that Gabby was, so we had it crushed.
So my son really liked this sticker. Gabby loved her stickers. So this was on the van. So we cut this out.
Just took a Sawzall and cut it out.
Are y'all going to watch the documentary? I highly recommend that you do. It's only 3 episodes, and it is great from beginning to end. And seemingly this chapter may be closed. Let me know what y'all think down below. Other than that, I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. I hope y'all get outside, you drink your water, you hug your family members, and you have a great one. Love y'all. Bye.